Okay, so the first question, the big question, why at the first place we publish? Publishing is the process of the necessary step embedded in the scientific research progress. It is also necessary for graduation and career progression. So, what we want to publish is the new and original result or methods, the reviews and summarize of particular subject, manuscript that advance the knowledge and understanding in certain scientific field. And what not to publish is the report that has no research interest and the work that is outdated or the duplication of a previous work or incorrect and unacceptable conclusion. So the gist is we need to have a good manuscript to present, to publish it for, to showcase our contribution to the knowledge community, to the scientific community. Okay, so editors and reviewers are the most precious resources of a journal. Editors and reviewers are the practicing scientists and even leader in their field. They are not professional journal staff. They do journal work on the top of their own research, writing and teaching. So basically, as you guys being aware, the reviewers are those who are expert in their specific field, and becoming a reviewer, usually reviewing papers or journals, it's free, unpaid. So we need to make their life as easier as the best as we can, because at the end of the day it's unpaid and we ourselves want to contribute to the research field. Okay, so the general tip of writing in journal article. Dr. Khairul mentioned last time, a lot of people actually reluctant to publish paper because they want to wait for a perfect paper to publish. But according to him, if we are going to wait for a perfect paper, we never ever going to publish until the day we die. So to publish, basically, we should not be scared of mistake. We should avoid the perfectionist syndrome, and we should improve our English proficiency, or can even start writing in any language that you want, and then get the proofreading services later. Okay, so these are the example of proofreading services recommended by Dr. Hairo. Proofreading by a UK PhD, this one proofreading specialist by Link Education Consultant, and Proofreader United. Okay, so in choosing your proofreader services, there are several things that you need to consider, because in subscribing to their services, usually they will impose the fee, the charges, and the charges can be quite pricey. Depends on the popularity of the proofreaders, depend on the testimony of the proofreader. So we can request to the proofreader to suit our area of study and according to our budget. Usually the proofreading service will counted based on whether the number of words that you want them to proofread, or the number of pages that you want them to proofread. Okay, and there are differences between proofreading and editing. If the proofreader improve your language in your paper, that is proofreading. But if the editor improve your language in your content, that is editing. Okay, so we have three category of manuscript. First one is full articles or original articles, which the most important type of paper, often substantial and significant complete pieces of research. And the second part, we have letters or rapid communication or short communication. It is quick and early communication of significant and original advances, much shorter than full articles. And the famous, the most easiest one, according to Dr. Hairo, is the review papers or perspective. Summarize research development on specific topic. Highlight important previously reported points, not the place to introduce new information, often invited. So reviews papers, we do not need to have primary data to publish paper. You can have a secondary data, or you can review the works of others in a systematic way and then publish in the journals. Okay, and so to decide which type of paper you want to proceed, you need to evaluate your own work. Is it sufficient to submit for a full article, or are your result is thrilling to? So you need to disclose it as soon as possible to the community. Okay, and you could ask your supervisors or your colleague for advices on manuscript type, and sometimes outsider can see things more clearly than us. Okay, so how do we want to determine which journal we want to submit to? Okay, for example, here Dr. Hairul give an example of his own research, adaptation of small-scale fishermen against changes in weather. Okay, so from his topic here, from his title here, these are the questions that he addressed. Who is the subject of his research, which this context is the fisherman, and the suitable kind of journal is in the area of community development, rural development, or marine policy. Okay, he can also choose what are the research he is on. So in this case, the adaptation on changes of in weather. So the appropriate journal would be environmental management, sustainable development, and he can choose also multidisciplinary journals, which is journal that accept many kind of field or area. For example, social science, basic and applied sciences, and multidisciplinary journal. And the best example is our own journal, Social Business Journal, ASBJ. We are one of the multidisciplinary journal. And you can use Elsevier Journal Finder or Springer Journal Suggester. And in this, if you go to this website, you just need to put your title and extract only, and the website will suggest the appropriate journal for you. Okay, so far so good, no questions? Hope so. And then select the best journal for the submission. Okay, you need to look at your references. Those will help you to narrow your choices. Because when you do your literature review, then you go to your references and you will see there is a pattern actually. So you can actually extract and identify which is the most suitable journal for you to submit your paper. And according to Dr. Nurul Fadli, his name, he said that usually there are some journals who prefer their paper submitted to them, citing the author that frequent sending papers or manuscript to that publisher. Okay, so those tips could also perhaps help. Okay, and then review recent publications in each candidate journal. Find out what are the hot topics, the accepted types of article, and etc. So you should ask yourself the following question. Is this journal the kind of peer review? Who is the journal's audience? What is the average time to print? And what is the journal impact factor? Okay. For your information, in journal review, we have several types. We have single blind review, we have double blind review, and we have open. For single blind, which means that the paper will review once, which both the authors and the reviewer do not know each other. Double blind review means that the same process will be repeated twice, and open means that both writer or author and the reviewer knew each other. Okay. And for the general audience, basically we have two categories. First one is the academician, and the second one is general public. So there are recommendations if you are targeting your audience to academic audience. So the language of writing is slightly different than the if your target audience is general public. Okay, so you need to identify who is the general audience. And according to Dr. Nurul Fadli, it is always best to target the journal that has public that focus more on public audience, because as author, we want our article to be frequently cited as much as possible, because when it happens, then it will increase our hash index and it will improve our writing profile, our research profile. So usually the most frequent citer is students. So student is more on the general public. So he recommended that. Okay. And what is the average time to print? Different journals has different frequency of publication. Like us, ASBJ journal, we target to publish at least twice in a year. So we have biannual publication. But there are other journals who publish on monthly basis, or even there are journals who publish on weekly basis. So to get accepted, to increase your chances to get accepted, Dr. Hairul suggested to choose the journal that publish as much as frequent as possible in a year. And impact factor, I'm going to explain that later. And decide on one journal, do not submit on multiple journal. So it means that once you decide to submit your article to one publication, in the process of waiting while your paper will be accepted or not, you cannot submit that paper to other publication or to other journal, because that will be deemed as unethical. Okay, so this is the example of Elsevier, find the perfect journal for your article. So just like I mentioned before, you need to put your title and the abstract of your paper, and then you shall click which field of research that you intend to, and then the website will suggest the best journal for you. Okay, to send the manuscript to index journal, we need to use a correct language and provide quality writing. And our writing should be in-depth and thorough discussion in all sections. And we should write early, because longer duration will be needed for review process, and there are no guarantee that publisher will publish the paper. And the characteristic of a citation index journal, CIJ, Scopus or WOS, Web of Science. Usually CIJ journals, they consume long duration for review process, and mostly they are FOC, free of charge, and the published articles are highly in high quality. The published articles are usually in high quality, and review process done by expert in related field and through straight and rigorous process. So that's why CIJ, because there are postgraduate students who in RUU universities, one of their graduation requirement, they have to publish in ISI journal, in the journal that have high impact factor. So the process is longer, and they need to do it within their stipulated time to be able to graduate, to get the GOT. So yeah, they need to plan it much earlier. Okay, so this is the example that Dr. Hairul gave us. As you can see here, the highlighted here, received on 2nd June 2013. But the paper is accepted on 2016 and published online on 2016. So it means that it could be years of the process to get accepted, the paper to get accepted to the journal. Okay, so this is the common reason for rejection. Submission of paper that are clearly out of scope. Okay, we submit our manuscript to the journal that is not in our area. For example, we do paper on education, but then we submit on biotechnology. Of course, we will get rejected. Failure to format the paper according to guide of authors. Okay, according to Dr. Hairul, there are several publisher or several journal who will do the proofreading, will do the editing for you. Okay, and they practice this concept of your paper, your way. But this we need to check the policy of the journal. of the journal, because sometimes if the journals stipulate if the journal give the guide for authors but we didn't follow it, that could contribute to reason why our paper get rejection. Okay, and inappropriate or not suggested reviewers. Okay, when we want to submit our paper to the journal, it is always advisable for you to suggest the reviewer. And how to suggest the reviewer? You do when you do the process of reviewing your literature, and then you get the author there, you get your experts there, then you can suggest the name from there. Okay, and inadequate response to reviewer, which means that when your reviewer give you feedback, but then you didn't express the feedback one by one, you don't show evidence that you actually take action on those feedback, then you could get rejection too. Yeah, and inadequate standard of English and resubmission of a rejected manuscript without revision. So it means that you does not correct, you does not do the correction for your article, for your manuscript at all. You just resubmit it. Of course, it will get rejected. Okay, so in the common structure of a full article, we have title, list of authors, we have abstract, keyword, and the main text should follow this MRAD formula, which start with the introduction, follow with the methods, result, and discussion, conclusion. And we should have acknowledgement, references, and supplementary materials. Or if you have like appendices, so we put in the supplementary material. Okay, okay, so Dr. Hairul, when I attended his workshop last time, according to him, the easiest part to start with the research, with the article, is to start with methodology. Because according to him, methodology, especially in social sciences, it is all established. We just need to adopt and adapt which is the best methodology to address our research problem. Okay, so we should write in the following order. Should start with figures and tables, then follow with methods, result, and discussion, and then conclusion and introduction, and last abstract and title. And of course, each section has a definite purpose. Okay, in developing our title, okay, we should develop title that attract the reader's attention. Okay, so readers are the potential author that will cite our article. So in our title, we should keep it informative and concise. Reviewer will check whether the title is specific and whether it reflects the content and the manuscript. Usually, I think the most popular kind of giving title is the title should reflect your dependent variables and your independent variables. And if you talk about factors, that would be your dependent variables. So yeah, when we read the title, we should know. We should already get the shadow, the glimpse of what this research is all about. And editors hate title that make no sense or fail to represent the subject matter adequately. And in our title, we should avoid the technical jargon and abbreviation. Okay, and because we wish our readership to be as large as possible and to produce a good one, the more brain is better. So we should discuss with our core authors if we have any. Okay, and in abstract part, it should stand alone and consider the advertisement of your article. You should tell the prospective reader what you did and highlight the key finding. And again, in abstract section, we should not use jargon and uncommon abbreviation. And in our abstract, we should be accurate and specific. Use words which reflect precise meaning, not have literal, abstract meaning. We should go straight to the point. And a clear abstract will strongly influence whether or not your work is further considered. And follow word limitation, usually 50 words to 300 words for the abstract section. Okay. And keyword, for the keyword, These are the labels of your manuscript and critical to correct indexing and searching. So it should not be too broad or too narrow. Getting Google, we type Google, everything pop up, and then it's hard for us to narrow down what specific topic that we want because it's too huge. So it's important for us to narrow it down. And use only abbreviation that are firmly established in the field. For example, here KPI. When we talk about KPI, everybody know it stands for Key Performance Indicator, for example. And then use the guide for authors. This guide of author usually will be attached somewhere in the website of the journal. Okay, and in the guide of author, usually it has the number, label, definition, treasurer's range, and other special or specific requests from the publisher or from the journal. Okay. For the introduction, this is our chance to convince our reader about the importance of our work. So in introduction, we should try our best to describe the problems. And is there any solution to overcome the problem? And what are our main limitations and what do we hope to achieve? Okay. And we should provide a perspective consistent with the nature of the journal. So if we try to send our manuscript to environmental management, so our styles of writing should consider that field, environmental management, like that. And then introduce the main scientific publication which your work is based. Cite a couple of original and important works, including recent review articles. Okay, so citation, review the articles. Literature review is the most important part it's one of the most important part for your article. Okay. And editor hate references irrelevant to work in appropriate judgment on your own achievement. They will think that you have no sense of purpose at all. Okay, there is argument where you should consider doing literature review for articles in the latest 5 years of your field. According to Dr. Hairo, yes, it applies to the article, the experimental type of article, which this kind of information always and constantly need to be updated. But for the articles that is on theoretical base, that you consider on theoretical perspective, theory has been established way long before 5 years. So you need to cite accordingly. Okay. And then the method section, details and details, a knowledgeable reader should be able to reproduce the experiment. So in in the methodology section, we should write it in a way that it should be as detailed as possible to the extent that our reader could actually duplicate our research. Okay. However, use references and supplementary material for previously published procedure. And we should not repeat the details of established method, and a general summary with a reference is sufficient. Okay, and your reviewer will criticize incomplete or incorrect description and even may recommend rejection. Okay, in the result section, only represent result essential for the discussion should be presented. Show the data of secondary importance in supplementary material. Okay, and do not hide data in hoping for saving it for later paper, because we may lose evidence to support our conclusion. But then, Dr. Hairo say, when we do our PhD or master, we can publish paper according to chapters. It means that start with the introduction, we already can produce one paper, and then in our literature review, second paper. In methodology, the third paper, and it goes on. Okay, so before you graduate as a postgraduate student, you actually can produce up to even 5-6 papers per one research topic, one thesis. That is according to me. But here, this slide is actually I took from Elsevier website, and it says that we shouldn't hide data in hope to save it for later paper because we may lose evidence. So there you should like really put a weight on which one would you go through. I mean to disclose all of your findings in one go, or you want to present it in stages. You want to publish it in stages. Okay. And use subheadings to keep results of the same type together, easier to review and read, and tell a clear and easy to understand kind of story. Okay. In discussion section, it is actually the most important section in our article. Okay, this is the chance where we actually sell our data. As many manuscripts are rejected because the discussion is weak. Make the discussion corresponding to result, but do not reiterate the result. Do not repeat the result all over again in discussion. And you need to compare the published result with yours. Do not ignore work in disagreement with yours. Confront it and convince the reader that you are correct or better. Okay. Dr. Hairul say that there are some researchers who actually afraid or unsure if when they conducted the experiment, but then the result that they get is actually contradicting to what has been suggested in his literature review in the previous research. But Dr. Hairul said that relax, keep calm down and stay cool, because it's actually a good thing. That is actually where you identify gaps and your gaps is confirmed. That is what according to Dr. Hairul said. So if there is a discrepancy with your result and your whatever that you researched before, whatever that other people did before, you need to disclose it as honest as possible. Okay, more pitfall to be aware of. Statement can go beyond what the result can support, which means that you overclaim your result. Yeah, you explain it like excessively compared to whatever result that you have. And then unspecific expression such as higher temperature at a lower rate. So the statement there, higher temperature at a lower rate, signify there is no quantitative measurement can be detected there. So you should go quantitative description as possible. You should quantitatively describe each of your results. When you're describing your result, you should go in quantitative. We should be able to quantify it. And sudden introduction of new terms and idea is prohibited in the discussion part. Okay, speculations on a possible interpretation are allowed, but this should be rooted in fact rather than imagination. So you should give your own reflection based on the discussion, based on your result. But then even your own reflection should be based on scientific reflection. You cannot do it baseless. Okay? And check the organization, number and quality of illustration, the logic and justification in your discussion section. Okay, in the conclusion, tell how your work advanced the field from the present state of knowledge, and without clear conclusion, reviewer and reader will find it difficult to judge the work and whether or not it's merit publication in journal. And in conclusion, it is not a repetition in abstract or just the listing of your experiment result. And the trivial statement of your result are also unacceptable. But you should provide a clear justification of your work and indicate possible application and further extension in future research. So usually when we review paper, in conclusion part, we can see that in the future research, it is recommended in the future that this research should be done in other perspective ke, other subject ke. And you should suggest future experiment and or point out these that are underway. Okay, so if you decide to disclose your research finding in stages, so you should point out that it is in progress. Okay, This is another actually important part in submitting paper, references part. Most mistakes are found in references than any other part of the manuscript. This is one of the most annoying problems and causes great headache among editors. References here depends on the publisher the journal that you want to send to. Most of the social sciences journal, they prefer the citation to be done in APA style. Okay, and APA style, we have several rules that we need to follow. And if we sloppily, do our work, then it may cause the rejection of our work. And in our reference, we should cite the main publication, the main scientific publication on which our work is based, and do not inflate the manuscript with too many references. It doesn't make a better manuscript. Okay, because actually in publication, in sending papers, we cannot send paper up to 50 pages. And from that 50 pages, 30 page from the 50 pages already full with the citation, with the references. So that does not signify a good publication. Okay. And then avoid excessive self-citation. Okay, this refer to when you publish your own paper already and it be circulated in the internet or in the book or whatever. But then when you do other papers, you cite your previous work, your previous published work. You can cite that, but not to do it excessively. You cannot be like you cite it's like your previous work become the Bible of your current work. You cannot do that. And then avoid excessive citation of publication from the same region. So if you do the literature review, and you do the citation or whatever, is citing your work, you should avoid to do the citation that is concentrated on your own region. For example, in our case, we take too much writers, or we take too much researcher from Malaysia, to reflect our work. So we should avoid to do that excessively. Okay. So this is, I found this is a very good tip from Dr. Hairul. In our research paper, in our manuscript, when we want to submit it to the publisher, we need to have a cover letter, like we want to apply for a job. Okay, so in our cover letter, it's actually our chance to speak to the director, to the editor directly. Okay, and like the job application letter, this is the tool that we want to sell our work. Okay, so in the cover letter, we should mention why did we submit this manuscript to this particular journal. Okay, and in our cover letter, we should not summarize our manuscript, repeat the abstract, but instead we should mention what make our manuscript special to the journal. Okay, mention the special requirement. For example, if you do not wish your manuscript to be reviewed by certain reviewer and any conflict of interest. And even you can mention in your cover letter, if you want to specify this, the reviewer that you want to review for your paper, you can also specify it in the cover letter. Okay, and albeit the most editor will not reject a manuscript only because of the cover letter is bad, but a good cover letter may accelerate the editorial process of your paper. Okay, so this is another example. Okay, as you can see here, Dr. Hairul Azmi, editor blah blah. Okay, this is how he's sending cover letter to the journal. Okay, so this is the response from the cover letter earlier, from the email earlier. And of course, he get rejected this time. Many thanks to our interest, Hairul, but it is not the sort of thing of primary interest to our readers, and the theory side has been well represented in many other studies, so that nothing distinctive and new you can bring to the theory. So this is what editor said. And when you get this kind of rejection, don't be disappointed, according to Dr. Hairul. Don't be disappointed, don't be sad. You can be sad for 1 day, 1 week, but then don't worry, because in one publication, in one publisher, it has so many journals, thousands of journals that want to accept your paper. So you should address the comment by the previous article that you submit, and then yeah. And there is a theory, there is a argument that say that which kind of journal should we send our article to? Is it we should start with the one with a higher impact factor or the one with the lowest impact factor? If you start with the higher impact factor, if you get accepted, then it will be good for your article, right? And then, but then the journal who has high impact factor usually taking longer time to process your application, to process your article. But if you start with the article with the journal that is, for example, in Q4, then the process is shorter. But then if you got rejected to the Q4 and then you cannot proceed to the Q3, Q1 like easily, you have to do like major amendment to your article. So again, that is depends on your own self-review of your article and in deciding which kind of article, which kind of journal you want to send your article to. Okay, but the main point here, if you get rejected in your submitting your article, don't be discouraged and send it to other publisher. Okay, so to suggest potential reviewer, okay, your suggestion will help the editor to move your manuscript to the review stage more efficiently. Okay, we can easily find our potential reviewer and their contact detail from the articles in your specific subject area, because usually in article we have the correspondence. So you can contact the author from the article that you review in the correspondence. Usually the author will reply your inquiry. Okay, and the reviewer should represent at least 2 regions of the world, and they should not be your supervisor or your close friend. And be prepared to suggest 3 to 6 potential reviewers. Okay, so here paper accepted, but to get our paper to be accepted, there is so many trials and tribulations in sending our paper. And most scientists regarded the new streamlined peer review process as quite an improvement. Okay, so this is the general process of how your paper will be processed and accepted. Okay, I don't think I need to explain this. Okay, and then reviewing is a procedure which consider reviewing as a procedure in which several peers discuss your work, learn from their comment, and join the discussion. Nearly every manuscript requires revision. And bear in mind that editors and reviewers are there to help to improve your article. So we should not take offenses for their mean comment. And minor revision does not guarantee that our paper will get accepted after we revise it. So do not count on acceptance, but rather we should just address each comment carefully and revise the whole manuscript, not just the part that reviewers pointed out. And we should cherish the chance of discussing our work directly with other scientists in our community. So we should prepare a detailed letter of response. We should cut and paste each comment by the reviewer, answer directly, do not miss any point, and state specifically any changes if we made to the manuscript. Give page and line number. Dr. Hairul recommend to enable the track changes button in our Microsoft Word feature. And typical problem discussion is provided but not clear what changes has been made, and provide a scientific response to the comment you accept, or a convincing, solid and polite rebuttal to point if you think that the reviewer is wrong. Okay, if you want to reject the reviewer comment or reviewer suggestion, you should reject it in polite way, but also you should provide empirical evidence to support your rebuttals. And write in a way that your responses can be given to the reviewer. So this is the example of how Dr. Khairul did. As you can see, this is a comment he cut and paste, and then this is the improvement that he made. Common concern by the writer, okay, use only basic analysis. If we use only simple kind of analysis, such as we employ only t-tests in our finding, in our methodology. Okay, there are researchers who say that, oh, your research is employing a very simple statistical technique. According to Dr. Khairul, no worry, he shows me that he's even published papers and using t-test result only in Scopus paper. And the result finding is insignificant. Even though if your finding is insignificant, your result of your finding is insignificant or turn out the way that you did not expect it at all, don't worry, but the acceptance or rejection depends on the way you discuss your finding. Okay, the role of reasoning. And then the result is not parallel with the past study. This is also a research gap, so it is a good thing. No data and no result yet, so I cannot write it. So this is also wrong. We can start with a concept paper and systematic review, SLR type of paper. Systematic literature review. Okay, multiple submission is unethical. We cannot do this. And practical tip, we should find out what's hot. For example, we can use a Google Trend to determine what is in thing right now. Okay. And then find the trends in the subject area by searching tips, including alerts, and by looking at the journal, authors, publication per year. And evaluate which journal is right for your article. These are the factors. We should consider the impact factor of the article, the subject specific impact factor. You can go to this link. Chimago and country ranking, journal analyzer. This is H index that I mentioned previously, and author level metric that measure both the productivity and citation impact of the publication of a scientist or a scholar. And we should find out more about journal, who are the editors, and if the journal providing guide for authors or not. Okay, so our research study only meaningful if it is clearly described and someone can use it in his or her studies. It arouses other scientific interests and allow others to reproduce the result. So by submitting our manuscript, we are basically trying to sell our work to our community. Okay, so publication. Okay, this is the impact factor. Okay. So what is mean by the impact factor is the average annual number of citations per article published. Okay, for example, in 2008, the impact factor of a journal is calculated as follows. A number of times article published in 2006 and 2007 was cited in an index journal during 2008, and B, the number of citable items, usually articles, review, proceeding, notes, not editorial, and letters to the editor published in 2006 and 2007. So 2000 impact factor, the formula is A just now divide by B. So let's say if A is 600 citation and B in 2006 150 articles and 2007 150 articles, we sum up and we divide these two, and the impact factor, therefore the impact factor for that journal is 2. Okay. So based on this impact factor, the journal will be categorized based on its quartile. Q1, 25% of best journal in the field study. Q2, second best of best journal in the field of study. Q3, the third best, and Q4 is the fourth best. And beware, we have in journal we have predatory journal, which means that this kind of journal, they claim that they are ISI kind of journal, established kind of journal, but then they are actually not inequality at all. and it will definitely cause authors to face problem later in the future. So we should check whether our journal is categorized under purgatory journal or not, something like that. Okay, citation index journal (CIJ). Okay, in the context of KPT, journals are indexed by the Web of Science, Clarivate Analytics, and Scopus Elsevier are considered by CIJ. Journal indexed by ERA, Excellent Research for Australia, also accepted by CIJ. But of course, the most prominent one in Malaysia is WOS or Scopus. ERA is a bit lesser. It's like have the lesser perception in quality compared to the previous two. Okay, so this is the website that you can go and check it out by yourself. Okay, so in WOS, WOS sub-indexing database, we have SCIE, SSCI, ANHCI, and ESCI. Okay, each actually has specific area and function. So to publish in WOS, we need to fulfill this following item. Okay, we need to fulfill the journal basic publishing standard. Okay, we need to check the audited editorial content and the international diversity of the authorship and the citation data associated with it all. Okay, Scopus, another index database used by KPT. Until last year, 22,618 journals were in Scopus. Okay, and such score metric is not used to check the impact factor in Malaysia, but we use the H-index corpus to refer the article impact and journal impact. It is also used to circulate the impact of the organization. Okay, so this is last year data because I attended this last year. Okay, so in Scopus, it divides into 5 categories: journal policy, content, journal standing, regularity, and online availability. So we should fulfill each one of these to submit to the Scopus. Okay, so that's it. Any question?